The bodies reveal evidence of the weapons used against them as they fought for control of Egypt. Arrows, slingshots, and even rocks had been hurled at the warriors from above. Eventually, their bodies were collected from the battlefield and carefully wrapped in linen. This linen bore the insignia of the Theban tomb complex belonging to their leader, Montuhotep. But just as significant as the bodies themselves was where Montuhotep chose to bury his fallen heroes. Today, the warrior's resting place is a little-known sealed tomb, but 4,000 years ago Montuhotep honored his dead soldiers with a burial amongst the graves of his highest officials, making them part of his monument to victory. The new king had created what could well be the world's first known war cemetery. Now I'm lucky enough to have been given special permission to see Montuhotep's soldiers for the first time. These guys are going to be taking down the tomb wall for me, allowing me to actually meet the very people who fought in Egypt's civil war around 2000 BC. So I'm very, very excited. And it was the same curiosity which drove a team of American archaeologists to excavate their original mass grave in the first place. Now reburied in a neighboring tomb, the bodies of Montuhotep's soldiers have rarely seen the light of day since their discovery over 90 years ago. And Chakram, remember, now this is really super frustrating, but in the interests of health and safety, I can't go in there immediately much as I really want to, because all the stale air is built up as the wall's being sealed, and we've really got to let this out with all the fungal spores and the bacteria and everything else that's so detrimental to health. Early Egyptologists tended to rush straight in and risk the so-called Pharaoh's curse, so a little waiting is essential. I can't believe we're actually going to enter this tomb now. It's one of those rare moments you're getting an Egyptological career into a tomb that's hardly ever visited. The wall had to come down, and who knows what we're going to find inside, because I certainly have never seen this before, so it's a very special moment. This literally wasn't at all what I expected. Nobody knew what to expect. It's staggering. I've never ever been into a tomb quite like this before. The mask is a very good idea because there's all sorts of things floating around in the atmosphere in here, not just the dust of ages and the dust of human beings, and as such we have to be very respectful. It's a large rock cut too, and although its walls are unfinished, it's typical of those created for courtiers and officials throughout these cliffs. Wow, it's a mummy fire body. It's absolutely incredible. Oh, that's quite something. And if you look along the length of this very long tomb, look at the floor. This isn't stone. These are human remains and mummy wrappings, and there are chambers and corridors leading off again, full of wrappings, the linen of ages. Some of it is claimed to be the very linen that bound the bodies of Montuhotep's warriors to help preserve them for eternity. But at first glance it's hard to get a clear picture, for this particular tomb seems to have been reused many times during Egypt's long history. Of a shoulder you see the way the skin's folded and dried out. Partial human body, still with much of its soft tissue intact. It hits you immediately in the face and you're confronted with what a tomb is all about. Make no mistake, this is the home of the dead and we're in amongst them. It's a very emotive and powerful place to be. But what's striking is how little is left of their bodies. Like many other tombs up and down the Nile, they've been subjected to centuries of looting and damage. And amongst all these linen wrappings and debris and human remains themselves are the tangible remains of these men who died so bravely in their efforts to reunify Egypt for Montuhotep, their leader. Having just come out of that tomb, a very mixed emotions. I don't really know what I was expecting to see. Certainly some of Montuhotep's soldiers, perhaps some of them were. It's highly likely. Essentially what we're looking at are the ancient Egyptians themselves. These are the ancient Egyptians. Temples, tombs, pyramids, this wonderful culture. It's all well and good studying these esoteric aspects that are distinct and marvelous and grand. But when it comes down to it, the things we should really be interested in are these people. Montuhotep's reunification of Egypt marked a new beginning, the dawn of what would become known as the Middle Kingdom and the Rise of Thebes. Montuhotep made it the new spiritual heart of Egypt, and it would stay that way for the next 2,000 years. But whereas the war god Montu had dominated the previous century of Egypt's story, the deity that now took center stage was Hathor, the goddess of love, joy, beauty, and motherhood. The goddess whose origins can be traced right back to the earliest of times. And believing that Hathor dwelt in the cliffs of Dar el-Bakari, Montuhotep chose this site not only for his war cemetery, but for his own tomb complex. It was Montuhotep that first built here in this dramatic place where the cliffs meet the desert, believed to be the home of the goddess Hathor herself. It was a fast track to the afterlife, and for Montuhotep and his men who'd lived and died by the war god Montu, they all now rest in the eternal embrace of Hathor. The first to build at Deir el-Bahari was Montuhotep, the founder of a reunified Egypt. He was so influential that almost 600 years later, female Pharaoh Hatshepsut built her own funerary temple right next door to tap into the religious and political power of her illustrious predecessor. In the Middle Kingdom, life for ordinary people was on the up. Food was plentiful, wealth and trade flourished, and farming was revitalized with new irrigation systems. Yet the Dark Age had nonetheless left its mark on the Egyptian mindset, as revealed in the way they prepared for the afterlife. In the Old Kingdom, tomb walls were often covered in elaborate scenes and texts, replicating an idealized version of the Egyptian world. But in the Dark Ages, people had seen their sacred sites ripped apart. So instead of such tomb art, many in the Middle Kingdom opted for its cheaper equivalent, with something much smaller and much more intimate. While these may look like children's toys, they were, in fact, made nearly 4,000 years ago to be placed inside Egyptian burials. Now, these wooden models were designed to provide the deceased with an eternal supply of food and drink in the next world. And so we have all the basics here, the Egyptian staples of bread, beer, and beef. So we have the bakers at this end, and they're grinding the grain to make flour, which will then be made into the bread loaves that are cooked in this fire. And the baker is in front there. The arms are quite damaged, but presumably shielding his face from the heat, as we know from other examples. Move to the middle, and we have the butcher here. And he's cutting the throat of this ox, and that legs are bound here to keep the animal in situ while the deed is done. And then we move on to the end, and we have the brewer. This is a fabulous, fabulous example because he's pushing the mash through a sieve, and the sieve's even being drawn on there on the top, actually in proportion with the rest of it. This individual has ordered rather more beer than either bread or beef, because this section of the model is almost half its length, but you can see the vats of beer carefully laid on their side. It's a wonderfully evocative piece. These people have been working for 4,000 years. They're still at it. Look at them. The key elements of Egyptian culture were back, and they looked little different from times of plenty in the previous millennium. Look at this busy crew grappling with the sail poles, ready to launch the boat off the Nile's banks, and this granary silo inside workers haul sacks of barley while a scribe counts the crop. And of course, there are also female figures. In Egypt, women enjoyed much the same status as men, unlike their sisters in many other parts of the ancient world. They're also producing one of the Egyptian staples, but linen, the cloth which was used to make pretty much every Egyptian garment. When you see this standing woman here, she's spinning the thread with this spindle, and the thread that she's busy making she'll then hand on to her two companions here, the weavers. And they're using this horizontal loom that's pegged to the ground to produce the bolts of cloth which will be fashioned into the wraparound dresses, the kilts, the loincloths, as worn by pretty much every ancient Egyptian man, woman and child. The lives depicted in these busy little scenes are the comfortable and the familiar, representing the Egyptian idea of security. This isn't Tutankhamun's death mask. This isn't the finest piece of art you'll ever see, but that isn't the point. These are real people doing real jobs. This is ancient Egypt up close and personal. Order had been restored within Egypt, but the fears that once tore Egypt apart hadn't disappeared entirely. For now they were projected outwards to the world beyond its borders. So Middle Kingdom monarchs like stern Alcestis III focused on national security and wealth creation. Sesostris is infamous for his devastating military campaign south into gold-rich Nubia, but he also opted for a more permanent kind of control by building castles. Now, this is a map of southern Egypt and Nubia, which is modern-day Sudan, and where Aswan is, that was the border between the two. And Egypt maintained its control over Nubia through a series of forts, with around 8 of these built by Sesostris himself. These Middle Kingdom forts were within signalling distance of one another along the southern Nile down into Nubia. They were all part of a massive state-building program designed to subjugate the local population and maintain the flow of goods and people up into Egypt, particularly Nubian gold. Very few of these forts still survive. These are some of the last images ever recorded of the largest at Buin. It was filmed in 1962 during its excavation after the creation of the Aswan Dam. These massive mud brick walls disappeared forever beneath the waters of the new Lake Nasser. But Buin isn't completely lost to us, because the excavation records are kept here at the Egypt Exploration Society, and they reveal an unexpected aspect of Middle Kingdom Egypt. As well as photographs, they hold architectural plans of the fort drawn up during the excavations, giving a real insight into the immense scale of the Egyptian crackdown in Nubia. Hiya, Chris. Hi, Joho. How this looks like an amazing photograph. What does it actually show? Well, this is an aerial photograph, Joe. So what we can see here along the bottom, this strip, is actually the River Nile. And then right on the banks of the Nile, emerging from the sand, here we see this square outline of the massive fortification of the site of Burhan. But once the excavators began to uncover at the full extent of what we could see, this was what they came across. That just looks like a medieval castle, doesn't it? Very rarely do you think ancient Egypt, oh yeah, castles, and yet here is the evidence in front of them, absolutely designed to keep the enemy out. Buin shares features with the castles of Europe, but all constructed 3,000 years earlier. Most astonishing of all is its sheer size. There's a little scale on this map that gives you an idea. This is roughly 100 meters. So just the Nile-facing wall here is well over 400 meters long. If you think about the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza, that's 200 meters along the base. So we're talking about the length of 2 Great Pyramids along here. The total circumference of this wall is well over a mile. And the walls, these outer walls, are 11 meters high, inside which you could fit around 20 football pitches. Because as well as controlling the Nubian gold supply, Egypt intended to rule by intimidation. This is the Middle Kingdom's great monumental architectural statement. Pyramids, monumental tombs were not really the kinds of buildings they needed. What they very much needed were these heavily fortified fortress towns to guard the frontier of their territory. When this fortress arrives in the barren, empty desert landscape in the Middle Kingdom, this would have been a massive statement. Something very, very big, powerful, strong, scary has suddenly arrived in the desert. So anybody traveling from Nubia north into Egypt has to sail past this. And this would have taken quite a while to sail past, wouldn't it? Absolutely, yeah. Imagine looking up. You're in a little boat on the Nile, and you're looking up and up and up and up, and you can see all these arrow slits, people training their arrows perhaps on you. Just, you know, you're being watched. It's that big brother mentality, isn't it? Exactly. Rising up by the Nile, Buin was a gleaming citadel of power. But most of all, it was an early warning system, the eyes and ears of a nation defined by suspicion and fear. But Egypt's southern border wasn't the only one to be fortified. The northeastern border with Palestine was also secured with such defenses to monitor the large number of foreign traders regularly traveling to sell their goods in super-wealthy Egypt. And the visit of one such group is portrayed here on a tomb wall. A caravan of wealthy merchants and their families, clearly not Egyptian with their distinctive hairstyles and brightly coloured clothes. Known as the Amo people, they traded in such goods as the black lead, vital for Egypt's production of eye makeup. And their distinctive pottery has been found across the Nile Delta, where many of them settled to live and work among the Egyptians. But within a century, some of these Amo had infiltrated high office and eventually took over Egypt itself. Now, these nomadic Armo people who came in and out of Egypt on a regular basis to trade are portrayed here in this wonderful tomb scene. And yet the most important part of the entire scenario are three small hieroglyphs right in the middle. They reveal one of the other terms the Egyptians used to name the Armo. It's basically a crook, a scepter that's written with two symbols, and that's pronounced Heka. It means ruler. And then the third of the three symbols is kind of undulating uplands, which means desert or hill country. Basically, the Egyptians used this symbol to denote a foreign land. So you put these signs together, ruler of foreign lands, and this really is the clue to what happened next, because these Armo of Palestinian origin eventually became the Hyksos, the Heka Hasud, and the Hyksos, and they ruled Egypt from the north between 1650 and 1550 BC. But as tension between the foreign rulers and their Egyptian subjects gradually escalated, Egypt entered a second dark age. The Hyksos made an alliance with the Nubians to the south, and the Egyptians found themselves trapped between two enemies. Although we know little of this difficult time, some fascinating texts do survive. Perhaps the most compelling are the words of a royal letter sent by the Hyksos king south to Thebes. Its message would prove so explosive that it galvanized the Thebans to once more regain control of their land. Now, this letter was either a colossal diplomatic faux pas or simply downright rudeness. And it involved the Egyptian goddess Taweret, the pugnacious blade-wielding hippo. Taweret may have been a protective deity, but she was also a ferocious creature with features borrowed from the hippo and the crocodile, animals the Egyptians feared. So it seems the Hyksos king Apophis set out deliberately to insult the Thebans. Now, the letter takes the form of a complaint in which Apophis is basically complaining that the bellowing of the sacred hippos in Thebes is keeping him awake at night. Expel the hippopotami from the lake. They do not allow me to sleep day or night because their noise is in my ear. Now, many have taken this to be a rather eccentric comment, but I think it actually alludes to the powerful women of Thebes. It seems that Apophis is actually comparing the wife of the Theban leader with the feisty hippo goddess herself. And soon it will be the Thebans who would decide that the Hyksos had had their day. They had to go. And soon this war of words had escalated into armed conflict between the two powers. But the Egyptians of Thebes had also gained the means to launch their attack with something developed by the Hyksos themselves, state-of-the-art weaponry, in particular a new kind of bow known today as the composite bow. It would revolutionize Egyptian warfare. Wasn't it a lovely shape, a beautiful thing? This may look like a bow made of solid wood, similar to those the Egyptians had always used, but the secret of the composite bow is all down to the elements within. It's composite because it's made out of different materials all joined together. So there's a wooden core for the center of the bow, but inside the curve on the belly of the bow is horn glued onto the wood, which forms a really powerful spring. So the cow horn will go there, yeah, that's right, on the inside of the curve, and then on the outside of the curve, an even more unpromising material. Looks like something the cat would enjoy, and that's all covered over with birch bark to protect the glue from the elements. Before the Hyksos occupation, the Egyptians had shot arrows from bows carved from solid wood. They were quite large, unwieldy, and only effective at fairly close range, but in the composite bow, animal horn added flexibility and the sinew strength. It's a clever combination of ingredients, isn't it, making it the ultimate in ancient archery? It just asks you to do that, doesn't it? It does. It's fabulous. There's a real sense of power behind this, isn't there? It's a beautiful thing. Let me show you. So this is why it's such a game changer, really, because it's a bow that you can use. It's quite short. You can use it in a chariot, and yet, wow, that was brilliant. Well done. The composite bow was easier to handle and shot faster arrows with much greater accuracy. The Egyptians had little choice but to adapt or remain an occupied nation. So by copying the new military technology, they were eventually able to push the Hyksos out of Egypt all the way back to Palestine, securing Egypt's northern frontier once again. And when the new bow was used in conjunction with the other Hyksos introductions, the horse and chariot, the three combined to express the power and supremacy of Egypt's new Egyptian rulers. Yet thanks to the Hyksos legacy, these were a new kind of king. And it's on this temple's walls we can clearly see the effect of the Hyksos occupation. For as Pharaoh smites his enemies, this is Egypt reborn, a fully armed, fully charged superpower whose kings, shown on a monumental scale, are superheroes. Over some 800 years since the Pyramid Age, Egypt's story had been one of upheaval, collapse, finally rebirth. The Egyptians had reclaimed their culture and entered a truly golden age. The next part of ancient Egypt's story is a time of monumental architecture and vast wealth, bringing not only glory but greed and corruption. The priest-kings of Karnak had got what they'd always wanted: absolute power. But with great power came great consequences. The ancient Egyptians believed fervently in the supernatural, and the idea of a curse was not far-fetched. Legend has it that the tombs of the pharaohs were protected by powerful curses meant to deter would-be grave robbers. The most famous of these is the Curse of Tutankhamun, discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. Stories of mysterious deaths and inexplicable events surrounded the tomb's opening, fueling the myth of the pharaoh's curse. Whether mere coincidence or something more sinister, these tales have left an indelible mark on the lore of ancient Egypt. Could it be that the ancient kings still wield power from beyond the grave? Stock media eerie music plays softly in the background, images of ancient tombs and artifacts, historical reenactments of tomb discoveries, video clips of Egyptologists exploring tombs, an image of Tutankhamun's mask. The sands of time have swallowed countless relics of ancient Egypt, leaving behind whispers of lost treasures. Among these are the fabled artifacts that once adorned the tombs of the mighty pharaohs. Many of these priceless items were looted over millennia, disappearing into the hands of thieves or sinking into the annals of history. Yet some believe that these artifacts still lie hidden, waiting to be discovered. The allure of these lost treasures continues to captivate archaeologists and treasure hunters alike, sparking quests into the heart of Egypt's desert. Could the next great discovery be just beneath the surface, waiting to unveil more secrets of this ancient civilization? Stock media. Mysterious music plays softly in the background, images of ancient maps and relics, historical reenactments of treasure hunts, video clips of archaeologists at excavation sites, images of ancient Egyptian artifacts. Hieroglyphs, the sacred carvings of ancient Egypt, provide a window into a civilization long past. These intricate symbols, etched into temple walls, tombs, and papyrus scrolls, tell stories of gods, pharaohs, and everyday life. Deciphered by the Rosetta Stone in the 19th century, hieroglyphs have revealed secrets that had been locked away for millennia. Scholars continue to study these ancient texts, discovering new insights into the beliefs, practices, and innovations of the Egyptians. Each hieroglyph is more than just a symbol. It is a fragment of history, a piece of the puzzle that helps us understand the grandeur and mystery of one of the world's oldest civilizations. Stock media. Serene music plays softly in the background, images of hieroglyphs on temple walls, close-ups of papyrus scrolls, historical reenactments of scribes at work, video clips of scholars examining ancient texts, images of the Rosetta Stone. As we delve deeper into the ancient tombs, we uncover the astonishing treasures buried with the pharaohs, symbols of their divine status and immense wealth. Golden artifacts, intricately crafted jewelry, and precious gemstones were not just for adornment but held profound religious significance. These treasures were believed to accompany the pharaohs into the afterlife, ensuring their immortality and favor with the gods. From the golden mask of Tutankhamun to the exquisite furniture and chariots, each item tells the story of power, artistry, and the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt. The discovery of these treasures continues to captivate the world, offering a glimpse into the opulence and grandeur of a civilization that has fascinated humanity for centuries. As we journey beyond the treasures of the pharaohs, we find ourselves in the Valley of the Kings, a place shrouded in mystery and majesty. Nestled on the west bank of the Nile, this desolate valley served as the final resting place for the rulers of Egypt's new kingdom. Unlike the grand pyramids of earlier dynasties, these tombs were hidden deep within the cliffs, designed to protect the pharaoh's eternal sleep from tomb robbers. Each tomb is a testament to the artistry and engineering prowess of ancient Egypt, with walls adorned in vibrant hieroglyphics and elaborate carvings that tell the stories of gods and kings. The Valley of the Kings remains one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world, offering invaluable insights into the rituals, beliefs, and daily life of a civilization that continues to captivate our imagination. As we descend deeper into the legacy of ancient Egypt, we encounter the pantheon of gods that ruled over the hearts and minds of its people. From the mighty Ra, the sun god who journeyed across the sky, to Osiris, the god of the afterlife who judged the souls of the dead, these deities shaped every aspect of Egyptian life. Each god and goddess had their own realms, powers and symbols depicted in countless statues, carvings and paintings. The goddess Hathor, with her cow horns and sun disk, symbolized motherhood and joy, while Anubis, with his jackal head, guided the dead to their final resting place. The ancient Egyptians built grand temples and conducted elaborate rituals to honor these divine beings, believing that their favor ensured the prosperity and harmony of the land. The stories of these gods, intertwined with the tales of pharaohs and commoners alike, continue to echo through the millennia, offering us a glimpse into the spiritual world of ancient Egypt. As we delve further into the spiritual heart of ancient Egypt, we uncover the sacred rituals that defined their religious practices. These ceremonies were more than mere tradition. They were vital acts believed to maintain the cosmic order. From the grandiose rites performed in the temples to the intimate rituals held in the privacy of homes, every act was a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. Priests, donned in elaborate garb, conducted daily offerings to the gods, ensuring their favor and protection. The sacred opening of the mouth ceremony was performed to awaken the senses of the deceased, allowing them to partake in the afterlife. Festivals, such as the Opet festival, saw the god Amun's statue paraded from Karnak to Luxor, symbolizing renewal and divine presence. Even in death, the journey was fraught with ritual significance. Mummification, a meticulous process, was believed to preserve the body for the soul's return. Amulets, spells, and the revered Book of the Dead guided the departed through the perils of the afterlife to achieve eternal peace. These rituals, steeped in symbolism and reverence, reveal a civilization profoundly connected to the divine, striving to honor their gods and secure their place in the eternal cycle of life and death. As we move deeper into the annals of ancient Egypt, we arrive at the final resting place of the pharaohs, their tombs. These majestic structures were more than mere burial sites. They were sanctuaries designed to ensure a safe passage to the afterlife. Each tomb was a testament to the pharaoh's power and devotion to the gods. Constructed with meticulous precision, they were adorned with intricate hieroglyphs, telling tales of divine journeys and celestial realms. The tombs were filled with treasures, intended to accompany the pharaoh in the afterlife, from golden artifacts to finely crafted jewelry. The walls were painted with vivid scenes depicting the pharaoh's life and their eternal journey. These tombs, hidden deep within the earth, were fortified to protect against grave robbers, yet many were still plundered over the centuries. Despite this, the discovery of these tombs provides invaluable insights into the grandeur and spirituality of ancient Egypt. They stand as silent sentinels of a civilization that revered their rulers as gods on earth, ensuring their legacy would endure for millennia. As we transition from the tombs of the pharaohs, we ascend to the monumental wonders that have captivated humanity for millennia, the ancient pyramids. These colossal structures rising from the sands of Egypt were the ultimate symbols of the pharaoh's divine authority and engineering prowess. Built primarily during the Old and Middle Kingdom periods, the pyramids served as grand tombs, designed to ensure the pharaoh's immortality. The most iconic of these, the Great Pyramid of Giza, stands as a testament to ancient Egyptian ingenuity. Constructed from over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing several tons, the pyramid's precise alignment with the cardinal points reflects a deep understanding of astronomy and mathematics. It is a marvel of human achievement, embodying the Egyptians' commitment to the afterlife. Beyond their architectural brilliance, the pyramids were repositories of rich cultural and religious significance. They were believed to be the physical manifestation of the primordial mound from which the world was created, and their sloping sides symbolized the rays of the sun guiding the pharaoh's soul to the heavens. Despite the ravages of time and the plundering of treasures, the pyramids continue to inspire awe and wonder. They stand as enduring legacies of a civilization that sought to bridge the mortal and divine, leaving behind an indelible mark on the sands of history. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the mysteries and marvels of ancient Egypt, exploring the innovations and legacies that continue to shape our world today. As we leave behind the monumental pyramids, we turn our attention to the enduring legacy of the pharaohs. These rulers of ancient Egypt were not just monarchs, but were considered divine intermediaries between the gods and their people. Their influence permeated every aspect of Egyptian life, from religion and culture to politics and architecture. The legacy of the pharaohs is evident in the grand temples, intricate hieroglyphs, and countless artifacts that continue to be unearthed by archaeologists. These relics offer a glimpse into a civilization that was both advanced and deeply spiritual. They reveal a society that valued order, harmony, and a profound connection to the divine. One of the most significant contributions of the pharaohs was the establishment of a centralized state, which allowed for the coordination of large-scale projects like the construction of pyramids, temples, and irrigation systems. This centralization also facilitated advancements in art, science, and literature, leaving behind a rich cultural heritage that continues to inspire and educate. The pharaohs' legacy is also evident in the stories and myths that have been passed down through generations. Tales of their divine origins, heroic deeds, and tragic fates have become an integral part of Egypt's cultural tapestry. These stories not only highlight the grandeur of the pharaohs, but also serve as moral and spiritual lessons for the living. Despite the passage of millennia, the legacy of the pharaohs remains a powerful testament to their vision and leadership. Their achievements continue to resonate, reminding us of the heights that human civilization can reach when guided by a sense of purpose and a connection to something greater than oneself. Join us next time as we continue our journey through the wonders of ancient Egypt, uncovering the secrets and stories that have shaped one of the world's most fascinating civilizations. As we delve deeper into the ancient civilization of Egypt, we encounter a world that is both awe-inspiring and enigmatic. This civilization, which flourished along the banks of the Nile River, is renowned for its remarkable achievements in architecture, art, and science. The Egyptians were master builders, creating monumental structures like the pyramids and temples that have stood the test of time. These architectural marvels were not just feats of engineering, but also symbols of the Egyptians' spiritual beliefs and their quest for immortality. The art of ancient Egypt is equally captivating, characterized by its distinct style and symbolic representations. From intricate jewelry to grand statues, Egyptian art reflects the society's values, religious practices, and everyday life. The use of hieroglyphs, a complex system of writing, allowed the Egyptians to record their history, beliefs, and achievements, providing us with invaluable insights into their world. Science and medicine also flourished in ancient Egypt. The Egyptians made significant advancements in fields such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, many of which laid the groundwork for future civilizations. Their knowledge of the stars helped them develop a calendar, while their medical practices included sophisticated surgical techniques and herbal remedies. The civilization of ancient Egypt was not just about grand monuments and intellectual achievements, it was also a society that valued harmony and balance. The concept of Ma'at, which represented truth, justice, and cosmic order, was central to Egyptian life. This principle guided their governance, legal system, and social structure, ensuring that every aspect of society was in harmony with the universe. As we continue to explore the wonders of ancient Egypt, we are reminded of the profound legacy left behind by this incredible civilization. Their achievements continue to inspire and educate, offering us a glimpse into a world that was both advanced and deeply connected to the divine. Join us next time as we uncover more secrets and stories from one of the world's most fascinating civilizations.